We want to also look at some of the protocols, and I'm sure for some of you, there has been some anxiety already. And therefore, we are blessed this evening to have as the panel our sister Dr. Nanaya Dubia Brown, a psychiatrist at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Doc, you are welcome. She is on the extreme end there. Next to her is Dr. Bridget Gogodako, a medical practitioner who is also a member of the Trinity United Church, just as our sister Adovia. Auntie Bridget, you are welcome.
Thank you, Papa.
Close to me is Mrs. Martha Ufori, a clinical psychologist. Auntie Martha, you are welcome.
Thank you.
I am your host, the minister in charge, Reverend Dr. Martin Obing. And as we prepare our hearts to listen to presentations by our panelists, we'll ask one voice to give us a musical interlude.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. Oh, this is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all day long. This is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. I am a buso. I am a buso. I don't kurano. I am a buso. Ishira, I am a buso. I am a buso. I don't kurano. I am a buso. I am a buso. Ishirano, I am a buso. I don't kurano. I am a buso. I am a buso. I don't kurano. I am a buso. God sent His Son Jesus. He came to die. Heal and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove that my Savior lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. And because He lives, all fear is gone. And now I know, yes, I know He holds the future. And life is worth a living just because He lives. Hallelujah, glory be to Jesus.
Thank you very much, One Voice. You have really set the tone for today's presentations. This day has been set aside to prepare our minds on this whole pandemic, COVID-19. The government expects us as a church to educate our members on COVID-19 and also help you to prepare adequately as you observe these protocols during our church services. And that is why it has pleased the Lord and the council to help us today and next week to understand more of where we find ourselves, what has caused this, and how we need to position ourselves. Today we will focus more on COVID-19, the protocols, and coping with anxiety. And next week we will give you more details on what exactly will be expected of us as we come to church. This evening we have, for our first presentation, general COVID education and some guidelines to help us. And Dr. Nana Adbia Brown will be making the presentation. Dr. Bridget Gogodakon would help us to know the right way to use, handle, and dispose of the face mask. And then Mrs. Martha Ofori will give us some hints on how we can cope with anxiety during this COVID-19 period. And therefore, at this venture, I would want to turn over to my panelists, beginning from Dr. Brown, and then to Dr. Gogodako, and then we come to Mrs. Ofori. So, Dr. Brown, please set the ball rolling for us.
Thank you, Papa. Good evening. Today, as Osofo already said, I'm here to give a little bit of education on COVID-19. COVID-19 is coronavirus disease 2019. So CO, corona, and then the V stands for virus, and VI, virus, and then the D is the disease, COVID-19. And it's an illness that is caused by a novel coronavirus, which was first identified in Wuhan, in the Hubei province of China. Novel coronavirus, because this is the first time we are identifying it or we are seeing it in man. But the coronaviruses are a group of viruses that cause respiratory diseases, An example is the common cold. The common cold is caused by a coronavirus. And COVID-19, or the novel coronavirus, is a coronavirus. They are called corona because of their shape. They are like a crown. So coronavirus. Okay. Now we know that the first reported cases, it was first identified somewhere in November 2019. But it wasn't until 31st December 2019 that it was reported officially to WHO. Then in January, 30th January 2020, World Health Organization declared it a global health emergency. And then eventually in March, 11th March 2020, it was declared as a pandemic. Currently, as of today, 10th June, we have about 7.29 million people affected worldwide, with over 413,000 deaths, and about 3 million, a little over 340 million recoveries. The situation in Ghana as of today is that we have about 10,201 people who have tested positive or who have developed COVID-19. Out of that, we have 48 deaths, and we have 3,755 recoveries. So that is the situation worldwide and in Ghana. So how does one get COVID-19, or what is the transmission or mode of transmission? It's believed widely to occur via respiratory droplets. So when somebody coughs or sneezes or even talks or sings, you produce little droplets, not visible to the naked eye, but you produce these droplets. And when these droplets come into contact with mucous membrane of another person, then if that person is a carrier or that person has the virus, then the person that the droplets come into contact with has a high risk of developing the disease also. But that is not just the only way. It can also, like right now, if I didn't have my mask on, talking, I could be spewing droplets. They fall on the chair, and they can stay on the surfaces. I mean, different for instance, copper, it's been studied and known that it can stay on the surface of copper for up to 4 hours. It can stay on a cardboard for up to 24 hours. And the surgical mask, up to 7 days. It can stay on the surface of the surgical mask for up to 7 days. But the longer it stays on a surface, the less effective it becomes. So that is also there. So if we understand the mode of transmission, then we'll be able to understand what the measures put in place to help us protect ourselves, what they seek to do. For instance, they say maintain a social distance of at least 1 meter. That's what WHO says. But we know that a social distance of up to 2 meters is even more protective. And that's because the droplets can't travel beyond 2 meters. So even if the person is not wearing a face mask and you're talking to the person and you're maintaining a social distance, then the risk of you contracting it is decreased. And it's also the reason why we are encouraged to cough and sneeze etiquette. If you are sneezing in a handkerchief or in a tissue, you are not producing or generating any droplets that will infect the next person. If you are coughing or sneezing into the crook of your elbow, again, you are stopping the droplet from traveling. It's the reason why it's also encouraged that we disinfect regularly surfaces that are used often, so doorknobs especially, because somebody might sneeze into their hand, touch the doorknob, or sneeze close to the door, and if you don't disinfect the surface, we know that it can stay on surfaces. So if I touch it, I don't wash my hand, and I touch my face, those are where the mucous membranes are, so the eyes, the nose, the mouth, then the risk of transmitting the virus to myself or infecting myself becomes great. So these are some of the reasons why the measures put in place are there. So after you get it, incubation period, they say is between 2 to 14 days. But research has shown that up to 21 days, so it's about 2 to 21 days, but with an average of around 14 days. What that means is that if I have COVID-19 and I infect Dr. Gogodakun, for instance. From around day 2, she would start being infectious, and she can start showing symptoms up to 14 days. And so that's the reason why the quarantine period is for 14 days. So that if I end up testing positive, then you all become my contact. They'll say stay away from other people for up to 14 days. And then you are tested, and if you are negative, then you can go out. That's because of the incubation period for the virus. When the virus enters your body, it has a preference for certain cells that we have a lot of it within the respiratory system, especially the lungs. And so that's why it's a respiratory virus. But it can go to other places. Autopsy reports have shown that it can be found in the gastrointestinal system. In fact, some data shows that it can even be detected in feces. So there's that. It can attack the heart, the brain, but it has a preference for the respiratory system because the cells, as I said, special cells that it prefers, a lot of it are in the respiratory system. What are the symptoms that somebody might exhibit when they have COVID-19? Cough, shortness of breath, difficulty in breathing, fever, chills. So chills is you feel very cold, like when you get malaria there, you feel very cold. And then with rigors, the shaking, so you're feeling cold, you're shaking. So that's rigors. And then there's generalized body pain, generalized malaise. Some people have reported diarrhea. And then loss of sense of smell and taste have all been reported as how somebody might present if they have coronavirus or COVID-19 disease. Okay. And then what must you do if you start feeling unwell? Well, Ghana, our protocol is that report to a health facility. So if you think you might have been in touch with somebody that have tested positive for COVID-19, and you yourself must report to a health facility if you start showing symptoms. And when you go to the health facility, you'll be tested, and then further guidelines or further advice will be given to you. And when the test results come, we take it from there by way of management. Currently in Ghana, the guideline is that everybody, so if you are paying attention, I talked about the fact that it can land on surfaces, so if you touch it, it's on your hand. And even on your mask, if you are talking to somebody who is not wearing the mask or is not wearing the mask properly, and they are generating droplets, it can land on the surface of your mask. And so I don't know if you've heard that if you are wearing the mask, don't touch it. And if you touch it, you should wash your hands or you should use a sanitizer. Washing of the hands with soap and under running water for a minimum of 20 seconds would help get rid of the virus if it's on your hand. And using alcohol-based hand sanitizer, minimum 70% or more alcohol-based hand sanitizer, has also been known to kill the virus. So even if it's on your hand, if you use a hand sanitizer or you wash your hand, then the risk of infecting yourself, it's low. Also, wearing a mask, from the beginning I talked about the fact that it's from droplets. So somebody sneezing, coughing, even talking loudly. Like right now, I'm shouting a bit. So I'm generating, for the mask, I'm generating a lot of droplets. So the wearing of the mask is to protect you from getting it if you don't have it. And also, even if you have it, from preventing somebody else from getting it. I listed the symptoms, but I must say that majority of people do not even show up with any symptoms at all, or they have really mild symptoms. The kind that I'm tired, I'm a bit tired from work today, or I feel a bit of pain here and there. Is it because I went for a jog yesterday or I exerted myself yesterday? So those are the ones they don't come into hospital. They are home, they are with us. and they spread it because they don't know that they have it. And so wearing of the mask is also so that if you have it, you don't infect somebody else. But there are a certain group of people amongst us who has a greater risk of developing severe disease if they get it. Those are the elderly, people over 60 years of age. And that's because generally, the reason why people get mild disease is because your immune system is able to deal with the virus. But for the elderly, research has shown that as you age, your immunity drops. So then once they get infected, they are more likely to develop a severer form of the illness. People with underlying conditions, hypertension, diabetes, asthma, when they get it, they're also more likely to develop a severer form of the illness, end up being hospitalized or even dying. Pregnant women, it's known that your immunity drops. So these are all people that we must protect from getting the virus. And the last thing too is that even for those of us who feel we are strong, we are young, we are healthy, even if you don't get a severe disease, but you end up taking up the hospital bed, if you should be hospitalized, you might recover. But what you are doing is that you are taking the bed from somebody who might need it and might not survive if they don't get admission into the hospital. So these are all things that's the reason why we have put in place this protocol, so that as a nation, we'll not be overwhelmed, so to speak. I will end here, and then when there are questions later on, I would come back.
Right. Thank you very much. I will encourage you to take note of your comments and questions at the right time, or you can begin even sending them onto the screen. We will take these questions and provide some insights. We'll continue by asking Dr. Gogodakon to address us on the right way to use, handle, and dispose of the face mask.
Thank you very much, Papa. I think before I go on, I would want to show a short video. So we'll watch the video in English, and then I'll try to do a bit of translation in Twi and Ga. So let's watch the video. It shows us how we should wear the face mask. The video will show the medical or the surgical
masks
face
should
mask,
be worn by
and then
health
I will
workers
come to
and
give
those
more
caring for someone with
explanation
COVID-19
on
symptoms.
the
Persons
cloth
aged
or
60
fabric
and over,
mask,
and anyone with
which
pre-existing
we,
medical
the
conditions,
public,
as they are at greater
are
risk of
to wear.
developing serious illness, and people who have symptoms suggestive
So,
of COVID-19.
let's prepare
Before touching
ourselves
the
to
mask,
listen
clean your hands
as we
with
wait for the
alcohol-based
video
hand
to
rub
show.
or soap
I would
and
want
water.
to say something about the cloth.
Inspect the mask for tears or holes. Do not use a mask that has previously been worn or is damaged. Verify which side is the top. This is usually where the metal strip is. Identify the inside of the mask, which is usually the white side. Place the mask on your face, covering your nose, mouth, and chin, making sure there are no gaps between your face and the mask. Pinch the metal strip so that it molds to the shape of your nose. Remember, do not touch the front of the mask while using it to avoid contamination. If you accidentally touch it, clean your hands. Now, how do you take off a medical mask? Before touching the mask, once again, ensure that you clean your hands with alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. Remove the straps from behind the head or ears without touching the front of the mask. As you remove the mask, lean forward and pull the mask away from your face. Medical masks are for single use only. Discard the mask immediately, preferably into a closed bin. Clean your hands after touching the mask. Always be aware of the condition of the mask. Replace it if it gets soiled or damp. A mask alone cannot protect you from COVID-19. It must be combined with other measures, including maintaining at least 1 meter distance from each other washing your hands frequently, and avoid touching your eyes, mouth, and nose while wearing a mask. Stay safe and help prevent the spread of COVID-19.
So, you have all seen our video that was on the medical mask. I'll talk about the cloth mask, which we as the public should use. I would want to take it in Twi and Ga, so we all follow with our hearts. Enti, yɛhwɛ video yi a yɛatwerɛ yɛn mask yi sɛnea ɛwɔ sɛ yɛhyɛ na yɛnyi. Na mmom no ɛyɛ nea adɔktafoɔ ɛne sɛnea ɔmo kae ɔmo wɔ yarewa bi ɛwɔ sɛ ɔmo ɛhyɛ ɛno. Yɛn a yɛwɔ kurom deɛ ɛwɔ sɛ yɛhyɛ ntoma deɛ no. Na mask biara na yɛahyɛ anaa daabi. Ntoma deɛ no sɛ ɛyɛ ntoma a print ɛwɔ mu a ɛwɔ sɛ print no wɔ abɔnten pɛ. Wohwɛ emu a ɛwɔ sɛ ɛyɛ white. Efi sɛ ink no ɛbɔ wo hwene ano na wo home a ɛnyɛ. Nti ɛwɔ sɛ inside no ɛyɛ white. Na abɔnten no ɛyɛ print. Afei wofa wo mask a ɛwɔ sɛ ɔhwɛ sɛ baabi ate anaa anaasɛ baabi elastic na ayɛ mmerɛ anaa. Efi sɛ wohyɛ a ɛwɔ sɛ ɛyɛ nea broni frɛ no comfortable. Ɔno a ɛnwɔ sɛ emia wo hwene sɛnea wo home a ɛnsi so. Ɛno nso a ɛnwɔ sɛ ɛyɛ hojo ɛwɔ w'anim. Ɛna wofa mask ni bi nso a ahoma ɛwɔ ekyire. Ɛno nso yɛba abɛyusi a wohwɛ a enim ɛwɔ sɛ woda bia wo mask wonim baabi a ɛyɛ abɔnten ɛne baabi a ɛwɔ emu. Afei ntoma no nso ɛnyɛ sɛ ntoma biara nti na wahyɛ. Ɛwɔ sɛ ntoma no yɛ baako mmiɛnsa. Enti nea ɛwɔ mu no sɛ wo home wo kasa wo bɔwa ɛno na ɛbɛkye nsuo no a ɛbɛfi wo mu aba no. Na nea ɛwɔ abɔnten no ɛno nso sɛ obi nso anya bi na ɛwɔ mframa mu na wo home a ɛno bɛgye ɛno na mfimfini deɛ no abɔ wo ho ban. Nti sɛsi a no mɛpɛ sɛ mɛkyerɛ yɛn wofa nea yɛkyekyere no a wokyekyere nea ɛbɛkɔ soro no wodi kan ɛkyekyere ɛno na waba ɛfam deɛ no na waba abɛkyekyere ɛno. Wowie a wode nkyɛnkyɛn no asɛ na sɛ ɛkɔm de me anaasɛ mepɛ sɛ menum nsuo a mɛyɛ den. Wobɛtwe wo ho akɔ baabi a nkurɔfoɔ ɛnnɔɔso wɔ na weyi. Nti yɛkita tissue yi. Da bia wokita tissue. Nti wobɛyi a wobɛyi ɛfam deɛ no kane. Woyi ɛfam deɛ no a na waba w'anim sɛnea ɛbɛyɛ a woyi ɛsoro deɛ no a ɛnka w'ataadeɛ ate aseɛ. Nti woyi a na wode ato wo tissue so din wabu ato so. Wapɛ biribi ato so sɛnea ɛbɛyɛ a mframa enhu no enko. Na mmom bɔ mmɔden sɛ obiara ɛmbɛn wo. Ewo bɔne nkyɔn hyehyeɛ esa ni moko benkobo be no bajo mask aka oya yeni alo oya nunu. Ewo ke canteen ayoni ye kote e femoshi akeshi menfa ye jame eja kesani o maintain social distance. Mask ne ke owo obunhe feboni mimimbu ohe kemi obunhe feboni obuboda nche ohe mihunke inwo mimbu ohe feboni mimbu midenche inhe no ewo ehe hia keshi wo fe wo mask dagbi esa ni ko no jepo yo hia dani obaba ekonwe oji owo chenshishi alo kefon hina alo kefon oyichono alo ojie ekome hama wo enekoni machonwo. So you don't dangle, ojieni ekome echochrobi akonye dabi, esani wo fiole nakan. Inti ehwe hia pa se ye nyina yetimi hya maski senia ewo se ye hye no na ye gya ewo yenim na enye se wo kodidi anase wo kọ akọnum nsuo a wo bepe kwan papa so eyi a mask we de onya hye a enwo se odo nsaka na odu fie a wa ye nsuo nti wo ba wuyi a na wo de atu nsuo nim se me na nsuo na wesi mask no na wahata se yetimi ehesa ebeboa yen cause Ghana ha nkrofo omo wo yare ni bi no bebre enkyere hwe se omo eyare nti fa ne se mimi wo yare ni bi me nso me fa ne se won so wo yare ni bi na eno ne ebebo ye ho ban na yare yi efi ye ntem medamase.
Thank you very much, Auntie Bridget. Now we'll take the last one, and then from there we will begin to receive your comments and questions, which will be handled by the panelists. We'll ask Mrs. Martha Ofori to help us. For many of us, we are already anxious. We have several challenges emotionally besides the fear. And therefore, she will help us to know how best we can cope with anxiety during this period. Auntie Martha, over to you.
Thank you, Papa, for the opportunity. As we are all aware, this new disease has come with a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, which is very normal. That's how we are supposed to cope with situations which we see as threats. So if we find ourselves getting worried, if we find ourselves getting anxious, it's a very normal response to how we are supposed to cope to threats. But the way we deal with the threats we are faced with, or how we cope with it, can make all the difference for whether we go into a crisis or not. Some of the physical reactions or some of the psychological reactions, for example, that people may exhibit or start showing from all these anxiety and stress could be one, fear or a phobia. We don't know what is happening. We are afraid we'll contract the disease. There's a serious fear that if I go out, I'll get this disease. Or there's also a fear that a family member of mine may contract it and may die. What do I do then? We also know that some people have lost their jobs. Others are staying at home. I, for example, have been staying and working from home for the past 3 months. So for many of us, there's been a lot of changes, and it's impacted our lives in different ways. Some people may start exhibiting some sleep disturbances. So it's either you are too worried and you are not sleeping well, or as also for some people to cope, they sleep all day long. Others too may start having some eating problems. So it's either you are eating too much or you are losing appetite. It's your body's way, or it's how you are learning to cope or deal with the stress. For others too, for example, I said someone may have lost their job. There's now a feeling of helplessness, or they are feeling hopeless. When will this situation go away? How will I start earning my income? How will I start getting money? When will I return to school? So it brings about some sort of sadness to some individuals, and for some people, they cannot cope with it. It can also lead to some form of suicidal thoughts. That's when it gets to the very extreme. So some people start having, because they are helpless, they feel hopeless for the situation. Or even for those who have contracted the disease, it can lead to some form of suicidal thoughts or some suicidal ideations. Okay. We've also seen that, and as I've mentioned, these symptoms or how we are coping with them are very normal. But we realize that sometimes we sort of tell other people that, oh, why are you coping in this way? I have been able to deal with it. Why are you not able to deal with this situation? It's important to note that every individual is different. The way I cope with a situation will be very different from the way you cope with a situation. So we'll come a bit later into how individuals can cope when they are faced with certain threats. Now, because of all these stress and all these threats around us, it can also lead to some medical conditions. You are always worried. You are not sleeping. You are not eating. You are not functioning well. It can lead to some form of medical condition, like diabetes, hypertension, some sort of heart conditions as well. And also for the psychological part, like I said, extreme fear, phobias, it can lead to major depression and all of that. I'll come to stigmatization, which is I've talked about the first bit, where an individual exhibiting these symptoms may not be understood. And so they may find it difficult going out to seek for the help that they need. Then how about the people who have also contracted it and their family members? We realize that at times there's some stigma associated with the whole thing. We are afraid that if we go near them, we may contract the disease. So we won't go near them, or we'll shun them away when they come back from recovery. We're also shunning family members and other caregivers, especially even our medical professionals, because they are out there facing the situation. Sometimes we can shun away from them. But it's important to realize that we have to empathize with these people and also educate ourselves to know that, oh, these are some of the things these people are also going through. When I educate myself on it, then it's better for me and I'm not shying away from people who have contracted the disease. Okay, now we'll come to how we can cope with this new stress, this new disease that's in town, how we can cope with it. Like our medical professionals have said, a major thing we can do is to abide by the safety protocols. If I have a strong fear that if I go out, I'll contract the illness, and I listen to the advice, I keep on my mask, I sanitize and all that, it's a way you can cope with the anxiety and worry that if I go out, I'll get it, or the extreme fear that even now that churches are going to open, I dare not go out because I know I'll contract it. Another way we can cope with this disease is by having some positive affirmations, which can be strongly linked with our religion and our spirituality. So, for example, you tell yourself that this disease is here. You have a God who you can rely on with your faith, and you have hope that this thing can pass, that you can get out of it. I liked the song, the one voice used about hope and knowing that there's a tomorrow, and so we'll get out of this disease. It's a way to cope with extreme stress. So there's a major role our churches can play in helping us deal with this stress. And for example, the virtual services, the Sunday services, the Bible study, it's a way to help individuals follow and also gain some sort of reassurance and hope that, we'll get through this. These are hard times. But when we rely on God, we can get through and we can overcome it. Another way is also through social support. Family, our friends, our loved ones. When we depend on them, they can also assist us. And it's also important that as we are doing that, we also observe our family and our friends, because others may not be coping very well with the situation, and you can help them when it's necessary. Another way of coping with this whole, for our youth, for example, those who are home, those who are working from home, those who may have lost jobs, is to now start looking for new ways to engage yourself. Don't stay at home and say, I'm bored. The devil finds work for the ideal mind. So you have to start going online, learn some things, learn something new. Just engage yourself so that you get out of the stress and the constant worry that you have. We are not saying it's easy. It's not. We are all humans. We go through it. But we can, through adopting some of these measures, we can take care of ourselves better. The final thing I would like to say is that if you find yourself going to the extreme, or you feel like you cannot really take care of the situation, you can always seek expert advice. There are clinical psychologists, there are counselors. You could speak to your osofo, and then he could also link you with the professionals who can help you with psychological interventions so that you get out of the situation. So obviously, we are in a crisis. We are all worried. It's very normal. It's a normal response. But how we cope with it can make all the difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Auntie Martha. Brethren, we are so blessed to have all the members on my panel to be members of Trinity United Church. And therefore, the implication is that we have a lot of resources. There are many people who are there to help us. And that is the reason why we are putting all these measures in place so that when we come together, God willing, on the first Sunday of July, we would be taken care of. We will be able to apply these knowledge and be able to focus our mind also as we worship the Lord. We want to receive your questions and comments. And while we pause to have a musical interlude from one voice, we'll be glad if you can send over to us your questions.
Mama meni suachire mipa Eyifana mimwa firi beba O afira safu Yehowa Osoro ni asase yafo Mama meni suachire mipa Eyifana mimwa firi beba Safu Yehowa Asoroni Asase Yafo Ari Chanko Onda de Biarada Antanko Onda de Biarada Hey Mekama Sama Trenyami Obetie Nobeya Mami Anda de biarada Antako Anda de biarada Hey Mekama sama Shenami Obetie Nobeya mami Awawa dobeni Awawa dobeni Awawa dobeni Adobeni, awawa dobeni, awawa dobeni, awawa dobeni, adobeni. Mini Yesu atna, mene na nanto, na mafa Yesu se, Madam Fupa, awawa dobeni, adobeni. Mini Yesu atna menena nanto mafa Yesu se Madam Fupa awawa dobeni adobeni.
Thank you very much. One voice. We have a few questions here, and I want to go over all of them just to help my panelists think through. Our first question is from our brother Benjamin Ofeado, and he says, I have learned from the various communications in respect of the COVID-19 protocol from the Information Ministry that when one begins to experience symptoms, they are to stay home and call 112. How do we reconcile this position with the advice from Dr. Brown to visit the health facility upon realizing that one is exhibiting symptoms? Dr. Brown, I think this will come to you. And then we have a second one it's a comment. Well, let's take the question. A question from our sister Joanna Ama Osetutu. With regard to the cloth mask, must the inside necessarily be white or other plain cloth inside will suffice? So Dr. Agogo, that comes to you. There is another question from our sister Nancy Abunu. I think, Sister Martha, you can look at that. What is the right thing to do when you experience any signs and symptoms? Call 112 and stay at home, or go to the nearest health center. Right, so that will come to, Dr. Brown. So maybe you can look at it too. So let's go over that again. The question from our brother Ofeado. How do we reconcile the position of the information ministry that when one begins to experience symptoms, we have to stay at home and call 112? And your advice that we visit the health facility upon realizing that we are exhibiting symptoms. I think you can marry that with the other one which came from Assistant Nancy Abunu, asking that when we experience any signs, should we call 112 and stay at home or go to the nearest health center?
Okay.
Dr. Nana.
Thank you very much. Actually, if you experience symptoms, 112 now, I'm not sure if anybody has tried calling 112. It's impossible to get through. So I just learned from Dr. Godakuda to be better to call 255. And but if you are calling and you're not getting through to anyone, so call first. And if you are not getting through to anyone, then you can call any doctor for advice, or you can just go to the nearest health facility. They will know what to do.
Right. So should they stay at home and call,
So
or they should go straight to the health facility?
Call first.
Right.
And if you experience difficulty either getting through to them or you're calling, nobody is picking, as is usually the case, because I get that a lot from my clients, that they call, nobody picks up, or it doesn't go through at all. If you experience that, then it would be advisable to, instead of staying home and risking getting worse, you just go to the nearest health facility. And just be honest. Tell them why you are there. Because if you call 112 first or 255, you must be thinking that you have COVID. But what we realize is that a lot of people, they don't even want to be told. I have one classic case. Somebody is on lisinopril. Lisinopril is an antihypertensive that causes cough as a side effect. When the person came in through the gate, we did the temperature. Temperature was fine. Asked about cough. He said, oh, no, I'm not coughing. So goes to see the doctor. The doctor is looking at the medication and it's like, okay, I'm lisinopril. Are you experiencing cough? They're like, can that medication do that? Then she's like, yes. It's like, oh, doctor, I thought I had COVID. When they asked me at the gate, I lied. But this is not the time for lying at all, because it's not a death sentence. Even if it is COVID, there's something can be done about it. So if you are calling and not getting through, instead of staying home and risk getting worse, you just go to the nearest health facility. Tell them the truth, and then you'll be taken care of.
Right. Thank you very much. So concerning the issue of the cloth.
Yes.
Mama Bridget, can you pick it from there?
Yes. So thank you very much for the question. It must not necessarily be white. Mine is white, so I might have said white. It must be plain. That is the most important thing. It should not be print. So you shouldn't have any fabric that has dyes in it that is in the inside lining of your cloth face mask. So the part that comes into contact with your nose that you breathe in should not have dyes. So it can be, but then the question comes as to whether maybe the blue polyester you are seeing, is it a dyed blue? So I guess that to be safe, white would avoid dyes, but then it mustn't necessarily be white.
Right. Thank you very much. There is a comment here. I think it's an advice from our sister Vida Kwaponga Kufu. It says that if you live alone, you should have someone whom you can call and speak with regularly. That can help us cope, and check on friends and colleagues by calling them. We should be one another's keeper. Right. There is a question here from our brother Theophilus Nete. What are some of the home remedies that can help boost our immune system? What are some of the home remedies that can help boost our immune system? This is a matter. Let's start maybe with the psychological part. The president has already told us that eating kontomire and plantain with dawa is one step in that direction.
Yes.
But psychologically, are there some home remedies?
Okay, so home remedies. You want to get yourself away from any information that makes you more anxious. So, for example, some people see, oh, today we have 10,000 cases. My goodness, this situation is too much. Try and keep yourself away from negative messages that can make you worried. And also, I think exercising is also a good stress reliever.
Right.
Yes.
Let's go to our medical, Dr. Dogo Dakon. You want to add?
I think basically, if your immune system is strengthened or is strong, it would help you fight all disease conditions, including COVID. So you need a good immune system. This is where our fruits and vegetables come in handy. But then with the fruits, the sugary fruits, you cannot just have it because it's fruit. People think that you cannot go wrong by having too much fruit. No, that is not right. So in moderation and in the right quantities. But with the vegetables, have a lot and enough of it. Now we have very limited activity. So like she said, exercise very important. And because of our limited activity, we should cut down on our carbohydrates. So it's important to cut down on our carbohydrates, have more fruits and vegetables. But with all the home remedies going around, I don't think I would want to touch on that. For instance, some are saying if you inhale neem, steam neem, it would work. From where I sit medically or scientifically proven, no, because the virus doesn't stay in your respiratory system waiting for you to come and scotch it out because we say heat destroys the virus. No. So, like I said, maybe an alternate medicine person might be the best person. But from where I set my training, I'll say no.
Right.
Dr. Brown.
Before that, that's our brother, that's Clarence Barnum. This answers, in a way, part of your question. His question was, we've heard of people talk about neem tree, kakadro, and other natural remedies. What's your take on it? So the advice is we need to be careful in applying these. Some people think that just by inhaling a lot of neem tree, the vapor, you might be doing a lot of service to yourself. But it should be done under some guidance. I think that it's always good to ask rather than just to find this on the social media and want to practice it. Yeah. Dr. Brown, do you want to add? And maybe in doing that, please handle this question. We have one from Bequin Edifo. He says, first, he's grateful to you all for giving the exposition on the novel COVID-19. But he wants to know how does this COVID impact the various age groups? How does this virus impact the various age groups?
Okay, the only thing I would like to add is that, as Sister Martha said, keep away from negative news. But sometimes as people, we tend to focus on the bad aspect. So 10,200 people have tested positive. 48 people have died. We forget about the over 3,000 that have recovered. Almost 4,000 people have recovered. We should focus on that. So let's focus on the positive aspect of it and not just focus on the bad aspect. Worldwide, yes, a lot of people have died, but more people have recovered than died. So that's all things that we can do to encourage ourselves. Then the impact on the various age groups. I'm sure we've all heard that children get really mild form of the illness or not at all. And then the elderly are the ones more likely to suffer a severe form of the illness. And that has got to do with the immune system. Okay, so even those in the middle, those who get severe form of the disease, now research is showing that it's a form of their immune system going into overdrive. So it's like going at an ant with a sledgehammer. You kill the ant, but you end up destroying things around. So it's something like that. So for some individuals, and we don't know why, but then the immune system goes into overdrive. So you've heard of cytokine storm and DIC, it leads to formation of clots and things because your immune system coming at an ant with a sledgehammer. Fortunately, children, their immune system is not so developed, so they are unlikely to overreact. So it's just they tend to get a mild form of the illness. Having said that, a few children have died. So it's not even, in medicine, we never say never. It's not, a few children have died. Even in Ghana, we've had a child die in Ghana. So it's you never know how, and that is another thing we keep saying, it's a novel something. We don't know it. This virus, daily, new information comes out and then we change our guidelines and things. So, yeah, that's what I'll say. But for the aged, it has got to do with a dip in the immunity. So it's like the virus have a field day. If you are young and you are healthy, your body will keep the virus at bay. So that's how come you get just mild or, symptoms, or you're not even developing any symptoms at all. But for the aged, once it gets into the body, it's like a field day for the virus. So it has time to multiply and cause whatever havoc that it wants to cause. Right. So that is just why it seems that the different age groups, but again, having said that, in the UK, some 93-year-olds have gone to ICU and come out. So, yes, we don't really know. Yeah.
Right.
Just let's take care of ourselves, adhere to guidelines and protocols, and then.
I like the name that has been given to the virus. It's a novel coronavirus. Yeah. So every day we get a lot more information. Just as we wind up, Auntie Bridget,
yes,
any
Papa.
advice? And then Auntie Martha, any advice?
Okay. Nia me pesa me kane say, yare no se yen amfa nkwa yare nankasa entimi enko baabia. Enti ehu hia se wonni hwe ye ewo abonta na wontimi nye adwuma emfifie a snafie. Na se wo se wo pie a make sure say wo shall face mask. We shall face mask nenswa. Me pacho sani ayehu was synonym no. E was a wo nsa ana wo sanitize ansa washe. Wo hye na se ebia wo pesa wo ye ni yi a wo sa nchen wo mfa wo nsa emma anim. Se bibi ba na wo somu a nsio ni sem na wo ho a hohoro nsa. Se wo ni bia use sanitizer. Enti ehu hia pa sani a e wo sa ye no Yahu wo infonini so ntimi nsan enkomu biom na yempe enwuma ebe hya yen kran arechichire enwum na yemfa nye na mua yen na yentimi endi 20 to 30 seconds no yebe wie no na ya hya ye hodin say yare yin so ebe twem me da ase
Auntie Martha, afoto bi wo ho any piece of advice as a closing remark?
I think maybe a repetition, but from what we said, this disease is here to stay. It's living with us for a while. We are all worried and we are all anxious about it. But we should remember that how we cope with the disease, how we cope with the stresses that are associated with this disease can go a long way to either take us in a positive way or in a negative way. So we should be aware of that.
Right. Thank you very much. I'm reading a short passage from the book of Luke. Luke chapter 14, verses 28 through to 30. Look at Sempa T. Dunang Chichimadu na Wuche Kusi Chichimadu Asa. Na mumuhina na opese oto abatinting na orientanasi emuhu akonta ansa se owonia odebetumi awie ebia wafi ase no wantumi anwie a na won a wohu nyina fi ase goro ne ho se onipa fi ase toy na wantumi anwie. Beloved in the Lord, we have come this far, and we must continue to persevere to the end. There is no way we can say we are tired. I'm told that we have moved from the stage of abnormal to new normal. And therefore, we all need to prepare ourselves and make sure that we cope with this situation. We are grateful to our panelists, Dr. Brown, Dr. Gogo Daakon, and Mrs. Ofori. Nyamin Shiram Bebre. We know that because they are members of this congregation, we'll continue to have more interaction with them. Next week, God willing, we would have a lot more insights concerning what exactly coming to church in July is going to be like. What are some of the things we should take note of so that we can psych ourselves and come and enjoy fellowship with the Lord and with the children of God. That is also a very important part in the healing process. And we trust that as we come together, the Lord will bless us. This coming Sunday, we'll celebrate the Eucharist. We'll have communion, and we will administer from this chapel. However, as I indicated earlier on last week, we'll encourage you to get some loaves of bread, some biscuits, and some wine or drink, say Coca-Cola. And then as we go through the church service, at the right time, we'll encourage you to administer the sacraments as we do that virtually. We trust that in the right time, as the Lord so gives us the grace, we will be able to come and partake of this Holy Communion. If for some reason you are not able to get these elements, or if you would want to come over, please come during the office hours from the next week, Monday, through to Thursday. We'll be around from about 8, and then you walk in. It will be more like a walk-in, receive the communion, and then you go home safely without no church service. So we encourage you all to use this to renew your strength in the Lord. Let us pray. Our gracious Lord, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the insights. Your word tells us that for lack of knowledge, my people perish. And Lord, you do not desire that we would perish, but that we will be well informed. So we thank you for our sisters and for the presentations. Help us, Lord, as we continue in this journey to know your faithfulness, the fact that you will not desert us, that in the end we will be more than victorious because of the work of Jesus Christ. We give you thanks, Lord. Give us rest as we go through this night. In Jesus' name do we pray with thanksgiving. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift the light of his countenance upon you all and give you peace. Amen.
You are great, yes you are, mighty God. You walked upon the sea, you raised the dead. You reign in majesty, only one. Everything written about you is great. You are great, yes you are, holy one. Walked upon the sea, you raised the dead. You reign in majesty, only one. Everything written about are great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
Great.
You are great. You are great.
Great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great. Everything within about you is great.
Oh, you are great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
Great.
You are great.
Oh, you are great. You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great. Everything written about you is great.
Demons tremble. Demons tremble at your presence. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. Glory, 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 hallelujah.
Everything written about you is great.
Demons tremble, yeah. Demons tremble at his presence. What a mighty God we serve.
What a mighty God we serve.
Glory, 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 glory,
Hallelujah.
everything,
Everything written about you is great.
you are 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 great. You are big. You are strong. You are mighty. Everything written about you
is great.
Oh, you are great. You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great. You are great. Everything written about you
is great.
1, 2, 3. You are great.
You are great.
Yeah, you are great. 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 You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
You are great.
Everything written about you